Hello and welcome to a very downbeat, I guess, Elm Park Roll special live video talking about a possible up to 9-point deduction that has been broken by John Percy of The Telegraph. He's extremely reliable. I don't think there's any reason to disbelieve what he's saying. But to help me talk through this kind of event, I guess, is Alex. Hi, Alex.
Hey, Paul. First sign of positivity after the weekend, and it's all come crashing back down in 2 days.
Yeah, a little bit of positivity, and it just comes crashing down on us. But these things happen. I've also been joined by Eric in Singapore. How you doing, Eric?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm not enjoying this quite as much as the videos outside Waitrose, but there we are.
No, not quite. Maybe will I? Maybe I. Yeah, I don't think I will be going out there to do one tonight for this. That would be completely the opposite of normal. But 9 points up to, that's what they're saying. That will put us bottom of the championship as it stands. Obviously, Derby looks like they're going to get an incredible points deduction as well. So they probably will finish bottom. But it's been coming, hasn't it? That's the thing about this, Eric and Alex. It's just none of this is surprising news. It's just around when it was going to happen, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, we've all expected it to happen for a while, right? That the EFL were going to come after us at some point, and I know we've been under embargo for the best part of 2 years now, but embargo to the EFL, I guess, isn't necessarily a punishment, and a points deduction is probably, not the best of a bad situation, but we haven't got into administration, and that's kind of like, that's got to be at least one positive of where we are. So it'll be, it's going to be interesting to see how many points we end up agreeing. I don't quite understand this. I don't see how we can agree a points deduction with DFL. That seems bizarre. But it's going to really depend on what number the EFL and Reading end up kind of coming to and agreeing on.
I agree, Alex. How the hell is it that the EFL have made the situation so clubs can agree on how many points they get deducted? Is that to avoid legal cases going forward, Eric? Maybe? I'm not sure.
Absolutely no idea. And I think the theme across all of this through the years is there's just a lack of clarity and transparency from the EFL. Like they call out the rules, but they don't necessarily go into detail about how a club's broken the rules and how that then relates into the certain amount of points that are going to be deducted. There just doesn't seem to be any kind of rhyme or reason or structure. It just seems to be very random depending on the case, but then they don't give enough detail on the case so that you can form an opinion. But yeah, obviously really bad news. But what do you expect when our accounts come out year after year and just look at the amount of losses that Reading Football Club are making? You're not surprised, are you?
It's just horrendous, and I agree with Tony's comment that came up a while ago. I don't know what they're going to do after the COVID situation. I guess it's going from the previous 3 seasons before and the amount of money that we spent. I mean, in the last 18 months, no, maybe 2 years, we've spent a hell of a lot less money. I think Oviajari is only the one we've spent millions on, but still all the players that have come in have cost a lot of money. But I don't know. I mean, I wish I could find an excuse for this. I wish I could sit here and say, oh, this is a disgrace by the EFL. Everything's terrible. I don't agree with this. But I think the club would like to avoid this by trying to circumnavigate the rules. And if you keep doing that, you will get caught. Alex, you go on. Sorry.
Yeah, ultimately, James is right. It's been brewing for years, right? We've sold off a training ground. We've sold off a stadium. We've got no assets as a club whatsoever. Yet we've continued to spend millions and millions of pounds every single year. It's not, it's not sustainable. But even if it is, even if the owner was prepared to put the money into the club, ultimately, Reading as a football club now they don't own anything. Like that's not, it's not a good place to be in. It's 150 years anniversary for the club, and we've managed to land ourselves a points deduction. So it's not good at all.
It's classic Reading FC, isn't it? It really is. The only time we ever won a trophy at Wembley, we get relegated as well in the same season. It's just what we do. We're just masters of this. But I don't know, how's Paunovic going to feel about this? This bloke has come into the club. He hasn't been able to make any signings until only a couple of weeks ago. Now he's going to get something probably between a 6 and a 9 point deduction. We don't know what it will be, but that is going to put us right into the relegation fight, Eric, isn't it?
Yeah, it just adds that kind of unwanted pressure. Obviously, we had a great result at the weekend, and 7 points since the international break is second best in the league, I think, behind Bournemouth. So obviously on the form side of things, you're saying we're trending up. But the thing that is super difficult in the Championship, as we've seen, is momentum. And this kind of thing can just kill any kind of momentum and confidence that a team has. And that's the big worry for me. It puts us at the bottom of the league, potentially. It starts, it's going to make us chase the other teams. Each kind of goal conceded becomes that much more significant. Each kind of game that we don't pick up points becomes, that much more. There's that much more pressure after each loss, that type of thing. So, yeah, obviously awful news, probably the worst kind of news in a way on the playing side of things. If you were Paunovic, you'd be pretty unhappy.
Yeah, totally. And I agree with this comment here from Stillman saying that about the 7 points that we've picked up this week. They are huge now in this context. They were huge anyway, but almost got double value now, haven't they, Alex? Because if we hadn't picked those up, we'd be in the bottom 3 anyway.
Yeah, exactly. We, a week ago before the QPR game, the mood was very, very low amongst the fan base as it was. The fact that we've managed to get, 3 unbeaten in the last week has definitely helped. But if we hadn't got those results, it would be even worse, wouldn't it? We'd be looking at probably being somewhere down at -8, miles off of safety, and looking probably for some kind of miracle even to stay up. As it stands, those 3 results, they could actually now prove to be critical at the end of the season, because even if we do get 9 points deducted now, at least we're only on 1 point, right? It could be a much worse situation had we not got those results in the last week.
Yeah, let's just actually make it very clear. None of this is actually being confirmed. None of this have actually come through from the EFL or from the club. But John Percy is a very respected journalist. I don't think he should be taken lightly. But I agree here with Jamie's point. Take the points now. I agree. If we leave this hanging over us next season, it just goes on and on and on. It's just we'll never get out of this mindset of having to always go over this hurdle. I don't think we were abiding the rules, Jamie. That's the problem. I think clearly we haven't been.
So the rules, Jamie, are basically a club can lose up to £35 million over a 3-year period. Reading, I don't know the exact figures, but I think over the last 3 or 4 years, it's somewhere around £90 million that Reading have lost against these numbers. So they're well over the limit. So it isn't a punishment for what we've done in the last summer or even the summer before that. It's going back 2, 3, 4 years now, this punishment.
Yeah, I think if we manage to get this down to a 6 points, I think we'll be okay. I think we'll stay up, but the pressure of a 9 point. I know it's only 3 points more, but it just feels massive. If you can get it to a 6 point, I feel pretty confident that we could stay up somehow, because I do feel that a mid-50s point total for this squad is possible. Eric, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you'd say so. I think I don't want to be too doom and gloom, but my real worry is this just the beginning? Like, if you think about it, we don't have any sellable assets, as mentioned, in terms of training grounds, stadium, etc. If you look at all the players that we have, most of them are out of contract next season, which again prevents us getting any kind of transfer fee for these players. If we do sell them in January, someone like Swift, for example, who started on fire, he's not going to command a huge fee because these clubs know that we're in deep trouble. The other thing you would say is, we've seen clubs like this have points deductions in the past, and it's the precursor to what Alex mentioned at the start of the call, administration, which is not what we want. But you kind of start worrying about, is this just a precursor of things to come? Because if we all go down that kind of road, then we're deep in trouble, deep in trouble.
Yeah, totally. I'd like to know everyone's thoughts on the owners right now, because you look at the training ground. The training ground is amazing. There's no doubt on that. That is incredible. But we are in a position we've never been in before now. And this is a really dire situation for the whole club. And we do not want to go into administration. But if we have a 9-point deduction, in worst case scenario, as it sounds, and we end up going down into League One, which would be possible with that kind of deduction, we're going to have to lose staff. No, it won't be the players that'll leave that don't want to leave. It'll be the people in the background. They will be the people that suffer here. And I do really think that the owner gets so much credit for that training ground, which is incredible. But he has been so reckless with the money that he's spent. And we've said this so many times, and people say, oh, yeah, but I don't need to worry about it because we got the EFL. We're going to find a way of doing it. Well, we haven't. And we've been found out. And I cannot sit here and say that we don't deserve it, because we do. When you see it happening to clubs like Derby County, I say they should get the proper punishment. We should get it as well. And I hate saying that as a Reading fan, because I want us to be not in this scenario. And I don't want to go talking about Medeski and all that, because that's a whole different era. But it just really, it's a sad time. It's sad that it's got this bad. And the people I really fear for are the people that work behind the scenes, not the players. The players will find a job somewhere, and the players will move on somewhere if it comes to that point. Hopefully not. But think of the normal people working there, Alex. And it just worries me that the owners get so much credit. And what has he done? It's a disaster.
I mean, you've got what, a £50 million training ground, but potentially nobody able to work there if we go down. It's a shambles, in all honesty. You can't. There's no real way to put it except it's just it's a complete mess from the top downwards. And I mean, the question from Rob earlier on about whether this is going to make the owners change strategy or not. I mean, I don't think they have a plan particularly. As we've kind of seen over the last years, I think the plan was kind of like spend the way out of the league, and clearly that hasn't worked. We're in this mess we're in now. Are you able to change the plan so much now? I don't know. It might be too late. That's the problem. And this is an interesting one, I think, Tony, because it's very easy for us to sit and criticise with hindsight about the EFL's fit and proper persons test. But ultimately, none of us can really judge on what an owner is going to do once they're in a club. If we had Dion coming in tomorrow and we were in a position of, normalcy, and he had however many billions of pounds in the bank, I doubt the EFL are going to say anything, because ultimately he has the money to be able to run the club, and that's what makes them pass the test, right? I think
you don't even need the money to run the club, though, do you?
Well, no, as we saw. Yeah, as we saw.
So I do agree. I don't think it's fit for purpose. I'm not sure what the answer is. In all honesty, I don't think it's necessarily an easy problem to fix. But what we can definitely say for sure is that we're not the only club that has suffered with owners that have come in and completely gutted and ruined a club. But we've been here before, and I don't think Dai Young's intentions are bad. I just think he's super financially irresponsible, and he doesn't necessarily understand the implications of his overspending. That's what I suspect has happened. But again, complete radio silence from him since he got to the club, basically, which again leaves us fans in the dark, which is again also frustrating.
Where is your point?
Will we hear from?
Yeah.
Are we going to hear from the owner?
He's not speaking. I mean, this has not been confirmed. Keep saying that, but I just want to be clear on that. So, but the owner never ever speaks, and that's not a good scenario. Everyone could say, "Oh yeah, he's put the money in, that speaks," but no, it doesn't. You want, just to give an example of the Leicester owner, completely different. And I know the Leicester owner died, but his son's now there, and I know that's the ultimate high. but there's plenty of people in between that are doing a much better thing. But getting back to Reading, it's just upsetting.
Ultimately, though, Paul, I don't think anyone would care if we didn't hear from him. If there was a spokesperson, if there was a face of the club, right? But none of us know who it is. None of us ever heard anything. I think the only thing we've heard from the CEO, he is now. It was a nice little letter with when we got our season tickets this season, and even in that, his name's spelt wrong. So, like, it's a mess. There's no face at the club, and it's at the moment you can't really see that there's going to be a good ending for this.
No, I can't see that at the moment at all. I think it's going to be. We could stay up. Tell us your mood about staying up in the chat. I mean, I think we could do it even with a 9 just about, but we'd have to be very, very lucky with injuries because we're so low in the squad now because of all the obvious issues we've had with getting new players in because it's been really tough. But I don't know. What's your mood, Alex? Do you think we can stay up even with a 9-point deduction?
I think we can. It's fantastic timing for Sky, isn't it? Before Saturday, being that we're on TV. Derby had their news come out on Friday night about going into administration, and they had a very kind of emotional performance on Saturday. Went out and got a win. If we go out and get a win on Saturday, and it only ends up being a 6-point deduction, we're going to be maybe 6-7 points clear. 6-7 points, sorry. And we'll be in and around that bottom 3, which is maybe where we would have expected to be anyway. So maybe it's not the be all and end all, but it's going to be a tight one, I think, either way.
Sky's talk track has been made up, hasn't it, for Saturday for the coverage? It's a pretty obvious one. You know what they're going to talk about, and they love bashing us. I do love the Dobchek optimism, though. Here, we will stay up. I would love for that to be the case, but again, when we do stay up, what happens then? How many players do we have that are in contract beyond this season?
That is another scary topic there, Eric, completely. But yeah, if we stay up, I'm in Waitrose, I'm on Waitrose, I'm running around Waitrose. I don't know what I'm doing. That will be big. So thanks a lot for joining us on this concerning day, I think, for Reading Football Club. But I think that's enough for now then. Cheers.